Yo, what's going on, Terra Knights? Welcome back to the channel. For this week's video, we got something a bit more educational again. I'm actually going to be taking you through possibly the best greatsword build in existence for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Yes, that's right. It is that good. But as I was making this video, I know that a lot of people don't like just the endgame meta builds, especially as it is educational, which means that a lot of folks out there might actually want the early game builds, especially for Iceborne and Greatsword specifically. And let's be real here, everybody loves Greatsword. In all seriousness though, we are going to be taking a look at a very beginner Iceborne friendly build for the Greatsword. I actually have a variation that you're going to see. We have one variation that has the defender weapon if you do want to use the defender weapons. But we also have a variation that's going to be using an early Great Jagras Greatsword. And we also have a mid-game Greatsword build that's also going to be using the Great Jagras Greatsword, but an upgraded version. And then we're also going to be having an endgame build with the Raging Brachy armor. And then we're going to be having the true endgame, the true charge slash of the endgame. It goes beyond endgame. It's just stacked with so many skills. And look at this skill list. It's so clean. Look at it. Anyways, that's enough Terra ranting from me. Let's just get on with the build video and let's take a trip through the early game of Iceborne. So coming into the builds, let's take a look here. We recently got the best build for every single weapon in the game of Monster Hunter World, but we're actually going to be saving that for another video. So coming to the back here, let's talk about the early Great Jagras build that you can start pretty much at the beginning of Iceborne, and then we're going to talk about the defender weapon variant in a second. So taking a look through the equipment screen, let's swap over to our skills here. It's a pretty stacked build. Starting off with the legs, we are using Wrathheart Greaves for Tool Specialist and Windproof. We're using the Beatotus Coil Alpha Plus for 2 health boost and 2 earplugs. Crazy piece of armor. Next we have the Kulu Van Braces Alpha Plus for crit boost, and Pro Transporters there just kind of extra, I suppose. Bone Mail Alpha Plus is one of the best master rank pieces of gear that you can obtain very early. 2 attack points and 1 health boost. And then next we have the Great Jagras Helm Alpha Plus for 2 speed eating, 2 attack boost, and a level 2 decoration slot. For the weapon, we are using the Jagras Deathclaw 1. Now you don't actually need to upgrade into this weapon. If you hunt enough master rank Great Jagras early on, you can actually just craft this rarity 9 weapon if you have enough materials. So it's actually pretty much the way to go, and an extremely good greatsword with a lot of blue sharpness to start off with, and has 2 level 3 decoration slots. Super poggers. And then we have the earplugs charm level 3. You should be able to get this at the end of high rank. If you can't get this charm, I highly suggest it for the early game builds, but this is also going to take a lot of effect in the rest of the builds in this video. So this is the skill page, but let's actually take a look at the decorations here. So right here, this is the decorations list. There's nothing super crazy that you shouldn't be able to get early on in master rank, or if you farmed enough a high rank, you should have a lot of these decorations already, but we are going to be going through the skills. Pause the video here if you do need to take a look at the decorations. Otherwise, moving on to the skills, we don't have any armor set bonuses yet, of course, but we do have earplugs level 5 so that you can pull off your true charge slashes and your great charge swings whenever the monster's roaring. It's also just a nice comfy skill if you're not really used to greatsword yet, or you want some comfortability, especially in the beginning of Iceborne, because it's pretty tough early on, honestly. But as we get into the later game builds, we do drop the earplugs. For now though, really useful. Next, we have attack boost level 4. We get to level 4 specifically because, let's see, right here, as you see, we get a 5% affinity, but only at level 4, as you can see. It doesn't really get bigger than that, so level 4 is pretty good. And then health boost is one of the better defensive skills in the game. Just a flat health increase, better than any defensive skill you really could have. Crit boost and weakness exploit, these are pretty self-explanatory, but for the newer people who are here who do not know about builds too much, weakness exploit, attacks that hit weak spots have 30% increased affinity, so on a lot of monsters' heads, you get an extra 30%, but with an extra 20% on wounded parts as well, which means that if you tenderize a monster part, especially the head, as you are in Iceborne, tenderizing is a big part of it, you get a whole 50% affinity on the head, and, you know, doing the charge slashes with Greatsword, so you want to be pulling off charge slashes with the Greatsword with this extra 50% affinity total, and it's just easier to do when you do have the earplugs. You can literally just charge right through a monster's roar. A lot of Greatsword players or mains will say that you can just tackle through, but like I said, this is for comfortability, and this guarantees that you get to just start charging literally while the monster's roaring. When you're tackling through the roar, you're not really charging your Greatsword, so really good skill. Coming down below, we have Divine Blessing level 3. While active, reduces damage taken by 50%. So this is just a random chance of this activating, but every once in a while, and it's pretty often actually, you'll just take literally half damage from monster attacks. And as you all know, when you are using Greatsword, you have a big chance of getting hit or taking a huge hit when you are charging. So this allows you to be a bit more reckless, and that's actually pretty good because it'll teach you how to play the Greatsword really, really well, in my opinion. Speed Eating level 2 is also here just from the armor pieces, pretty much that Great Jaguars that you saw earlier. This is just an absolutely wonderful utility skill, really awesome. On the last page, we do have Windproof level 1, Pro Transporter, Tool Specialist. This shortens the tool reuse time by 10%. It basically shortens the cooldown on your mantles or tools by 10%. Really nice skill, especially if you can get all the way up to level 5, but we're rocking level 1 for now. And Non-Elemental Boost. So we are using the decoration up here, Elementalist Jewel, to get this non-elemental boost specifically, but this actually raises the base attack for non-elemental weapons. So if you do not have an elemental weapon, which the Great Jaguar's Blade is not, as you can see here, no element right here. We get a flat damage increase just by using this decoration. So this is an extremely important decoration. So pretty easy and quick for the first early game, build for Iceborne. The Beototus is something that you fight right away. Kulu's obviously easy to beat. Collect some bones for this piece and hunt some Great Jaguars for the Deathclaw 1 and the Jaguar's Helm Alpha. The only other thing that you don't really need to get is this Rathian Heartgreaves Alpha Plus, but Pink Rathian comes pretty early on in Iceborne, so this is pretty much the hardest piece that you actually need to get. So all things considered, a really strong build when you look at it, especially early game in Iceborne, especially with the critical boost that we have here. I don't think I actually went over it just a second ago, but crit boost just literally gives you extra damage whenever you are critting. And combined with the weakness exploit that we have here, we just get big damage, especially on the charge slashes that are pretty guaranteed or easier to pull off because of the earplugs that we are rocking and the Divine Blessing, which lets us be a bit more reckless with our attacks. And the non-elemental boost further increases that damage. Really easy build to make, super good, especially if you're learning the Greatsword. But let's talk about if you do not want to make the Jaguar's Deathclaw 1 for some reason, or you are using the Defender weapons coming from high rank in a Monster Hunter World base game. So right here is a different variation. The only variation is the weapon itself, as you can see up there. So let's equip this real quick. Now, the main difference here is that the Defender Greatsword is stupidly easy to make as a Greatsword, especially coming out of high rank. And the damage is pretty much on par with the Great Jaguar's Greatsword from Master Rank, but we have 390 blast on top of it. But as you can see here, we do not have any decorations. So when we do look at our skills, it looks a little bit different. Because we do not have a decoration slot up here, or any for that matter, we actually do drop the non-elemental boost. And fun fact, if you do not know, blast is an element. It's technically kind of a status element, but the non-elemental boost doesn't work anyway. So we do have to drop 1 point of crit boost because we are not able to fit in a decoration slot up here in the Great Jaguars build like we did before. So we are missing a little bit of damage right here, but blast element is really good. And this is also a really easy comfort build, which doesn't really drop the important things like health boost or the Divine Blessing. So still an extremely good Greatsword build if you do not want to go that route, or the Defender Greatsword is just really easy to make, like I said. So that's it for the early game Iceborne build. Now let's take a look at a mid-game build for Iceborne. We're going to go into the, that's right, mid Great Jaguars 2. So the difference here, we go from Jaguar's Deathclaw 1 into the natural upgrade path, which is the Jaguar's Deathclaw 2. But the armor pieces change up a lot. So let's take a look at those. Starting off, we have the Pride Greaves Beta. This has earplugs and Jump Master. Jump Master is pretty sick. Negates knockback during a jump, which means that you can do charge slashes in the air pretty reliably with Greatsword. Very sick. Anyway, a level 4 and a level 2 decoration slots. So good stuff. The Beocoil Alpha Plus we are still using because this thing is just a beast when it comes to the skills in the decoration slot. The Damascus Van Braces Alpha, really good piece of armor with the speed sharpening, handicraft, good decoration slots. And we are also using the Damascus Mail, but we are using the Beta for more decoration slots. And it also comes with level 2 focus. Super good stuff there. And wrapping it off, we do have the Pride Helm Alpha Plus. This is another Seething Basil Goose armor piece. 2 points of earplugs and level 2 blast attack. The level 2 blast attack actually gets wasted here, unfortunately, but this thing comes with a level 2 and a level 1 decoration slot and 2 points of earplugs. So this helm piece is actually just super worth it. Also, you do get the Basil Goose Ambition bonus skill, as you see right down here, Guts. Guts, above a certain health threshold, you withstand an attack that would normally cart you. Once only in your quest, though. But this also allows you to play a bit more risky with Greatsword. If you think you're going to take a huge attack or you want to go for a big attack, you're protected with this. Really awesome. If you played like Dark Souls 3 and are familiar with like Tears of Denial, basically works like that. You're left with 1 health. It's pretty awesome. But going into the Jagras Deathclaw 2, like I said, this is just the upgrade version of the Jagras Deathclaw. So this should also be really easy to make early on, and also has a ton of sharpness on top of it. The Master's Charm 5 here, now this build calls for a Master's Charm 3 or even 4, so don't pay attention to the Master's Charm 5 that I have. But the Master's Charm 3 and even 4 are pretty easy to get when you are grabbing these pieces of armor in Iceborne. You should be at the level. So we are rocking a bit more affinity than actually meets the eye. Normally, this could be at like 25% affinity and we'll be good, but it's just easier for me to show off my Master's Charm 5. But let's take a look at the decorations, of course. Like I said before, pause the video right here if you want to take a look, but I did not slot in super hard decorations to get on purpose. And if you are taking a look at this Expert Jewel +4, you actually get one of these guaranteed in Iceborne when you are able to craft master rank gear. The smithy literally gives you one of these, so it's just part of the natural progression. So we're still using a lot of decorations that are really easy to obtain, or you actually might have a lot of these decorations. The only thing that you might not have is the Charger Protection Jewel, Focus Divine Blessing, but this decoration actually has a huge drop rate for the Focus and Divine Blessing. But even if you didn't have this per se, it wouldn't really kill the build. But taking a look at these skills, we do have Critical Eye. Well, this shouldn't be a level 7, actually. You should have only about level 5. Like I said before, I am using the Master's Charm 5 down here. Pay no mind to that. Should be a Master's Charm 3 or 4. 25% affinity is still good. But we still are rocking the earplugs and the health boost, of course. So if you watch the previous build right before this, you'll know why these are so important. The critical boost and the weakness exploit, 50% affinity on top of the 25% affinity that you should have. You're going to be hitting 75% of the time, critting on the head and stuff, which is a ton of crit, honestly. And the critical boost, whenever you are critting, increases the damage of your critical hits all the way up to 40%. There's huge damage, especially when you are using Greatsword. Crit boost is extremely important. And then we do have a level 3 focus. So this is actually the newest addition. Increases the fill rate for weapons with gauges and the charge rate for weapons with charge attacks. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that does mean the Greatsword's charge swings. Reduces the charge time by 15%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, this allows you to get so many more charge slashes and true charge slashes, especially combined with the earplugs. You are going to be hitting a ton with the focus and that combined. And then the Divine Blessing, again, of course, this just lets you really go for it, especially combined with the Basil Goose Ambition, the Guts skill. It really just allows you to be reckless, and this allows you to learn Greatsword, what you can and can't do. When you do indeed take the Divine Blessing hit, or you even do get carded, but not really because of the Guts. So really good skill. Divine Blessing is one of the best skills in the game, man, especially for defense. We do have Blast Attack level 2. This is just because of the Pride Helm alpha, like I showed before. But if you were still using the Defender Greatsword for some reason, this will actually increase your blast buildup by 10%. So you could be using that still if you wanted, or another blast greatsword. Otherwise, coming down, we do have Handicraft level 2. Extends the weapon sharpness gauge. As you can see here, we have a tiny bit more white sharpness here. We also have speed sharpening. Removes 1 cycle from the sharpening process. So if you do fall down to blue, you can sharpen a lot faster. And the jump master, as we've shown before, negates knockback during jumps. And we have the non-elemental boost again. And the deco slot that you see down here, super good stuff just to get you some extra raw attack. Awesome stuff, honestly. So that was the intermediate build for Iceborne, but let's take a look at the endgame Raging Bracky build. Now this build isn't actually fully set up. We have it fully set up here, but that's just because of decoration slots. So let's take a look at this real quick. So going into the pieces, we are using the Raging Bracky Greaves, the braces, and the helm piece. The Greaves start off with weakness exploit level 2, and a lot of decoration slots, as you can see. We are using the Ruiner Nergigante coil. Like I said, this is an endgame build, so you should have access to a Ruiner Nergigante. Level 2 attack boost, earplugs level 1, level 4, and a level 1 decoration slot. Raging Bracky again, like I showed before, Agitator level 2, and 2 decoration slots for level 4. We are using the Damascus again, so we just get to reuse our pieces for the Focus level 2. A lot of decoration slots, like I said. And capping it off, we are using the Brachydium Helm Beta Plus with 1 weakness exploit, 2 level 4s, and level 1 decoration slot. Now, you may have already noticed this already, but the legs give us 2 points of weakness exploit, and the helm piece gives us 1 point. So we get all of our weakness exploit just from these 2 pieces of armor. So if you're going to wear 2 pieces of Raging Bracky, wear the helm and the legs specifically. And the reason why is because we actually get Agitator Secret, which, if you do not know, raises the maximum level of the Agitator skill. But first, we do need to take a look at the Light Break Blade. This is also another awesome greatsword that you can just craft straight up by fighting Raging Bracky. There's no upgrades for this weapon at all. You just craft the Light Break Blade out of nowhere. Good decoration slots, 1440 attack, purple sharpness to boot, and 360 blast. One of the best greatswords before we got the actual endgame monster. Coming in, we are using the Challenger Charm 5. This is endgame charm. You should have access to the guiding lands, and this takes a lot of grinding, honestly, to get, but this is one of the best charms that you can make for Monster Hunter World Iceborne in general. This will take you a far way in any build that you're using, so I highly suggest that you grind it out for this thing. But let's talk about these skills and stuff, of course. This is not fully realized as a build. We are missing some decorations up here, but that is for ease of access. Even though you are at the end game of Iceborne, I know that some decorations are hard to get. So I tried to make this build look as clean as possible, even without using some decorations up here. As you can see, look at this build skill list. Absolutely amazing, if I do say so myself. So pause the YouTube video if you do need to take a look at these decorations, of course, but let's get on to the actual skills again. Like I said before, Brachydios Will raises the maximum level of the Agitator Secret. So let's skip down real quick to Agitator and take a look at what it does. It increases the attack power and affinity when large monsters become enraged. And if you are familiar with the wall banging of monsters, with the Clutch Claw, using pod ammo, shooting them into the walls, they immediately become enraged. And when they are enraged, your true raw attack power goes up by 28 and increases your affinity by 20% whenever the monster is mad. Now, this 28 attack doesn't actually sound like a lot, but Monster Hunter is really weird with its stat values. This actually means a true raw, like I said before. This isn't on top of the weapon attack that you already have, which is like 1400 with your greatsword. This actually goes a lot further than you would think. Trust me, this is one of the best offensive skills in Monster Hunter World in general. But let's get to the rest of the skills. Critical Eye goes all the way up to level 7 for 40% affinity. Pretty obvious there why that's good. We still have the earplugs level 5, just for comfort, I guess. But the natural build path does allow us to build earplugs. We are going to drop them when we get to our meta, true endgame build for greatswords. But we already went over health boost before, one of the better defensive skills in the game. Critical boost gets us extra damage, all the way up to 40% whenever we are critting. So combined with the Crit Eye level 7 Agitator, really good stuff. And then on the next page of skills, we have the Weakness Exploit for a 50% on wounded parts. And we have Focus level 3, reduces the charge time of your greatsword slashes. And we have a Attack Boost level 2 to boot. Attack Boost actually goes a long ways, but isn't really the main attack skill that you want to go for compared to like something like Agitator, like I showed you before. This is just like something that you fill out when you already do have Agitator and some other offensive skills that you want in the game. Now, this is a lot of affinity, is what you might be thinking. We have 30%, and if we have Tenderize the Face, we have a 20% on top of the 30%. So that is a total of 50%. And if we take a look right here, we're actually rocking 40% affinity without this. So that brings us all the way up to a whole 90% affinity. Combined with the Agitator, like I showed you before, this actually boosts us up to 110% affinity. Now, I know what you're thinking, actually. Tara, that's you're capped on affinity. And yes, that is true. So you actually can drop an expert jewel right here if you want to for defense or anything else. This will bring you down to 30% affinity. So combined with the weakness exploit with the 50% and the 30% affinity that you have right here, we're going to get 80% affinity. And with the agitator secrets, if the monster is enraged, that boosts us up by another 20%, making 100% affinity, which is absolutely perfect. But if you're still not in the habit, for some reason, of not wallbanging the monsters or keeping them enraged at all times, the 40% affinity that we did have before does pair nicely with the weakness exploit that we were running to give us 90% affinity. So if you don't have the agitator active, you still don't actually technically have 100%. So be careful. If you are trying to min-max, just go for all affinity here. So if you're trying to min-max on your affinity, actually drop your critical eye to only a level 6 here. But if you are trying to just be more comfortable or whatever, just slot in the full critical eye, especially because it makes the build look super clean. I mean, look at this. Bam! Look at this. Oh, so clean, man. So as I said before, we do not have any decos here. Let's take a look why. We do have the other fully endgame build or whatever. So this is the exact same build. Nothing changes with the armor. We're just going to take a look at the decorations that I have here instead. Actually, we can actually show you right here. So as you see here with the skills, crit eye, agitator, all this. But if we actually come down here, you'll see that right here, we actually get level 3 divine blessing, and we even get level 2 part breaker. I'm going to show you exactly how. First, let's equip this build. And I'm going to get back to the decorations screen. Nothing's actually changed here. Like I said, we can actually even drop this expert jewel up here if you would like. But let's take a look at the skills page. In these 3 slots that were previously empty before in the last build, this is the exact same build, like I said. But we have Destroyer Protection, Part Breaker Divine Blessing, and Part Breaker Divine Blessing. And then we only have a level 3 decoration slot here, unfortunately. So we do just have to slot in a level 1 deco. But as we said before, Divine Blessing is one of the most important protective skills in the game. At a level 3, randomly, you just take half the damage. Awesome skill, especially for Greatsword players. And if you do want to be breaking monster parts easier, the part breaker is an extra 20% part damage, makes it easier to break or sever parts of large monsters. So this skill is just absolutely awesome for farming materials and stuff. And if you happen to not know, blast weapons like the light break blade, blast actually makes it really easy to break monster parts. It hits monster parts whenever the blast does proc, and blast is just a part breaking monster of an element or ailment, should I say. So combined with the part breaker, you're really going to be farming these monsters, man. Now that is the end game build for Monster Hunter World, but what if we wanted to go beyond the end game? What if we wanted to make use of some of the monsters that were added way later? Well, I guess the Raging Bracky was added pretty late in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, but what if we wanted to take a look at using some of the most meta armor that there is and even take it further beyond with 2 set bonuses with a level 4 Frostcraft from Velkhana, and we still get the Fatalis Legend Inheritance. How is that possible, Tara? Oh God, what? No way, you gotta be kidding me. No, I am not kidding you, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, choose my layered armor loadout. This is the layered armor. This is not what the armor looks like, as you can see right here, but you guys know I'm a Puke fiend. It's in my OC's lore, of course, but we'll talk about my Puke Hunter's lore some other time. We are rocking the Reimgard Greaves Gamma, so this is not the typical Master Rank Velkhana armor. This is the Arc Tempered Velkhana armor. Arc Tempered Velkhana is super tough to beat. Oh man. But taking a look, you can see just how good it is. 2 levels of Quick Sheath, peak performance level 3, full peak performance from 1 piece of armor. Absolutely insane. Coming up to the Reimgard Coil Gamma, level 3 focus. So this is the perfect weapon for Greatsword. It even has Quick Sheath level 1 on top of it. Good decoration slots, of course. We are using Dragonhide, the Fatalis chest and arms. Starting with the arms, though, 1 point of weakness exploit, not a whole ton, but 3 whole level 4 decoration slots. Again, 3 whole level 4 decoration slots, but we do get weakness exploit level 1 and even a point of evade window. Coming onto the Rhyme Guard Gamma, we do have 3 points of Coalescence, one of the better offensive skills in the game. I will go over why in a second here. But we also have Resuscitate and a bunch of good decoration slots as well. Now, as you can see here, we are using the Challenger Charm 5 again. We already went over this in the last build, but if you skipped ahead, this is Agitator level 5, another really good offensive skill in Monster Hunter World. We are actually going over mantles in this build specifically, but really the mantles could be swapped out for anything that you like. I don't really go over mantles in a lot of my builds just because that's kind of up to you. It's really about the player expression at that point. But let's take a look at the Safi's Shatter Splitter. Yes, we are not using the Black Fatalis Blade. We're using this for a good reason. As you can see, we do have the Velkhana Divinity, and it's because we are using a safi'jiiva weapon instead of the Black Fatalis Blade. So that means that we only have to use 3 pieces of the Rhyme Guard, and we actually get the Velkhana Divinity from this weapon, which leads us to be able to use 2 pieces of Fatalis to get the Inheritance, which we'll go over in a second. But the Safi's Shatter Splitter, super awesome Blast Greatsword, really good purple sharpness. We are losing out on a teeny bit of raw damage compared to the Black Fatalis Blade. Well, actually, a lot of raw damage, to be honest, but it does have Blast Element. We do have the Awakened abilities down here of Sharpness increase 6, Sharpness increase 5, 2 attack increases, which gives us a total of attack increase 10. And like I said before, the Velkhana Divinity. This is a pretty hard awakened ability to farm for, but we are beyond the end game, ladies and gentlemen. So let's take a look at the decorations. Take a picture of the decorations if you want to, but I am going to be going over them in a second specifically because this is a super cracked build. First, let's go over the skills, of course. Velkhana Divinity level 2 increases elemental damage when landing critical hits. Now, Blast is not an element, unfortunately. You could use a Safi elemental weapon, but for our purposes, we're not using the Velkhana for this. We are using the Velkhana for the Velkhana Divinity level 4. An Aura of Frost builds when your weapon is sheathed, raising attack, wanes each melee hit or shot fired. This gets us extra damage whenever our weapon is sheathed, when we pull it out and start attacking, of course. And then we have the Fatalis Legend 2, removes a skill level cap for the skill secrets, meaning that we can get all of these skills over here. Oh my goodness. But dropping down below, we are running Attack Boost level 7, gets us a lot of true raw attack power, plus 5% affinity. Agitator gets us 20% affinity when the monster's enraged, more true raw attack power. We only have Critical Eye level 4 here, as we went over before with the affinity and stuff. We're actually sitting at 30% affinity. So if we combine the Agitator here, we get 20% affinity when the monster is in rage. And you might know before, as we said, we're going to skip over the health boost. We've already talked about health boost enough in this video. We are using the Weakness Exploit level 3. 30% plus 20% on a wounded face, for example, is 50%. So combined with the other 50% that we're getting, the 30% affinity here, the 20% from Agitator, and this gets us a perfect 100% affinity. Focus level 3, we already went over before, reduces charge times by 15%. We have peak performance. Whenever our attack is full, we actually gain extra attack damage. And I haven't shown weapon augments really on the other weapons or builds because they're not true endgame. But we do have a health regen augment whenever we are hitting with our weapon. We gain a little bit of health back, kind of like life steal. Super awesome. So this makes peak performance proc a lot, especially if you are taking chip damage from monsters. And it just means that you stay tip-top shape, you know, honestly. Super awesome stuff. Let's take a look back at the skills again. Of course, though, we do have Evade window level 3. Increases the invulnerability window, so if you do want to dodge with Greatsword, really good stuff. We have Quick Sheath level 3. Greatly increases sheathing speed. This is really good on Greatsword. It doesn't have one of the fastest weapon sheaths in the game. And because we are using the Velkhana Divinity, like I said before, whenever our weapon is sheathed, it raises our attack power. So the quicker we can sheath our weapon, the faster the Aura of Frost will build up for the extra damage. Going back in, though, we are using Coalescence level 3. Now, this is also one of the best offensive skills in the game. This is not something that we actually go over a whole lot, but if we read it here, it temporarily enhances attacks after recovering from blights or abnormal status. So if you recover from Fire Blight, Ice Blight, some kind of abnormal status like defense down, Coalescence will activate for a short period of time. But coming down to level 3, while active, grants an extra true raw 18 attack power again with the true raw damage being stacked on top. And then elemental attack power is plus a whole raw 90, which is also super awesome. We also have status buildup plus 15%. So Coalescence actually works with our blast attack weapon, which is the Safi's Shatter Splitter. So super awesome stuff. We also have blast attack level 2, blast buildup plus 10%. So combined with the Coalescence, you're getting an extra 25% blast buildup plus a bonus of 10 blast on top of the weapon. So awesome stuff there again. And we do have another page to go through. We do have Fortify, temporarily increases your attack and defense every time you faint up to 2 times. A whole 10% and 15% if you do happen to faint with this build, which is not likely. But if you are going up against Arc-Tempered Velkhana or Fatalis or even Raging Bracky sometimes, any of the tough monsters, sometimes you can still get whooped. So Fortify is just absolutely amazing. And we do also have Resuscitate. Now this only actually takes 1 skill level to get, so awesome skill. While active, it greatly improves invasion and vulnerability time and reduces stamina depletion. So whenever you are afflicted with the blight that you have or whatever, this kicks in immediately, which is super awesome. And then once you actually get rid of that blight, for instance, then you just get the Coalescence active. Just awesome stuff, man. Really synergistic. Now, like I said before, looking at all these skills, it's actually a super clean page of skills. Let's take a look at some of the decorations, though. We are using the Challenger Charm to get some of the Agitator. We do need this to get 2 more points of Agitator with the skill secret that we are rocking from the Fatalis armor pieces here. We get to bump it all the way up to a level 7. Normally level 5 is the cap, so we do need this Challenger Jewel level 4. We do also have Attack Jewel level 4s. These are super hard to get, honestly. This takes a ton of endgame farming. But once you do get these, you can really, truly realize the best build you could ever want in a Monster Hunter game. And then we do have some expert jewels to get us the critical eye level 4, and we even have the blast jewel level 4 up here. This is actually here because we pretty much ran out of good decorations to put in. You could swap this out actually for an evade window level 4 to get level 5 evade window, but you don't really need the extra 2 points. It's not a whole lot of bang for your buck. Even just having a few points of evade window is really good, honestly. Yeah, actually down here you can even see we already have an evasion jewel, so if we were to stack 1 more on top, we could get that evade window all the way up to level 5 and make the build even cleaner. But I opt for more damage. And then coming down below, we are using the Rocksteady Mantle and the Temporal Mantle, some of the easiest mantles that you can use in the game. You could use mantles of your choice, of course, but these come with 2 level 1 decoration slots when you do have the plus version of these mantles. This is the Iceborne version upgrade. So we are able to slot in full blast attack level 4 whenever we do have one of these mantles on, which just leads to us having level 4 blast attack, which is just even more damage. So just absolutely crazy build. I don't think you could really get better than this. Now what's crazy is we could even just come up here. We could get rid of Fortify if you really don't want that. You can get rid of the blast attack. You could even get rid of the evasion right here. And you could slot in 5 extra skill points in whatever you want, man. This build is absolutely crazy. I opt for the Safi's Shatter Splitter on purpose instead of the Black Fatalis Blade. I could show the Black Fatalis Blade in another build guide that I will be doing. I think I'm going to be making a video that is the absolute best build for every single weapon in Monster Hunter World. So maybe I'll show off that build then. And speaking to the watchers who did watch my previous video, which was the I've defeated Fatalis with every single weapon in Monster Hunter World, I know that a lot of players are actually upset that I didn't go over every single weapon in that video. But I'm here to tell you that if you do truly want to hear about all the other weapons, please let me know down below in the comments as well. I'd love to hear feedback, and if you guys truly want that as well, I will also make that video because I love talking about the weapons of Monster Hunter World. Otherwise, let me know what weapon you want to see next. Let me know what your favorite weapon is in Monster Hunter World, and tell me what I actually missed in these builds. These builds aren't completely optimized, I think. I think I did a pretty good job of really min-maxing here, but there's always room for potential, I notice. So if we do have any 10,000 hour Giga Chads out there who really know what's up, please let me know in the comments down below too. I'm always happy to be proven wrong because I love learning even more about Monster Hunter World. Otherwise, that is it for me today, guys and gals. If you do happen to be watching this video in the first few hours of its release, we're actually streaming Monster Hunter World today with an open lobby, so come stop by, say hello, let me know what you thought about the builds in the video. I actually stream up to a few times a week, and I always post weekly schedules at this point. So if you do want to know when I'm live, just check the community tab or join the Discord. Thank you guys for watching, seriously. This has been Terroriza, but you can call me Terra. I'm done for today. I'm signing off, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace!